Welcome to today's Daily Tune-In. Today is Monday, November 8th, and we have a little bit of an energetic breather at the moment. When we look at the space weather, you'll see that we have a breather, and I just want to clarify some things on the Schumann resonance for you to be aware of, so that as you are also looking and maybe tracking the Schumann resonance, you can start to see some patterns and what to expect with these patterns. And I'm also going to break down some of the life expansive emotions. We tend to talk about the denser side of emotions since that's what so many people are working through. But I want to give you a little bit of inspiration on how it helps you, how it moves your evolution and your transformation along by tuning in to those higher emotions, those higher frequencies, and what it really means for you. So we're going to look at the emotion of courage and how just stepping into courage as you're looking at all of these densities can quantum leap you into your own transformation. But first, let's take a look at the space weather for today. Yesterday, and I posted about it on Instagram and Telegram. But I also wanted to come into today, which looks very calm, right? From these big blasts that we've seen that have come all the way down. And I will tell you that these energies here were extremely potent. I could feel these. I could hear the hum in my ears changed. And when I was going to bed last night, there was a lot of jittery, like electric kind of energy flowing through me. I could really feel this settling in. The other thing I wanted to point out, because we talk a lot about these lower frequencies here that are being worked out, and there's a little bit going on here. There you do see some of the red, and this is really where I typically speak a lot to, which are these lower densities in our emotional and physical bodies that are being worked out by these energies. So if you think this area here is really the physical, emotional, and densities. And then as we go up into the frequencies, and what I'm talking about is over here is the level of hertz. And at the level of, I think it's 13 and above, we're getting into the fourth dimensional frequencies, and then up here we're getting into this superconscious, these higher frequencies of who we are, our fifth dimensional frequencies. So when we scroll over here, you can see that there's some work here going on in those fourth dimensional frequencies, which are the heart frequencies, the higher expansive parts of the heart, the emotions like courage and willingness, optimism, love. As you start to come up into these frequencies, when these energies come in, especially these over here, you can see that there was a lot being sparked in those higher frequencies, which means those emotions like willingness and optimism start to come into play. So that's why there's some emotional confusion. A lot of people are in the comments are saying like, I'm just up and down. This is why, because not only up here are these higher densities being kind of jolted awake, so to speak, or jolted so that you have to look at them, but so are these higher frequencies and these higher emotions like inspiration and love and joy. And so you're seeing this come across, your awareness, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so much anger or grief or whatever. And then all of a sudden one of these floats up into your awareness and you're thinking, okay, I have the courage to take care of this, or I'm inspired to do something else. And then when we get a jolt like this, like we did the other day, now this is jolting loose or bringing into the light. When I say jolting loose, it's more bringing into the light, bringing into your awareness some of those soul frequencies, those desires, and those illuminations, and those the deeper understandings. And then that kind of blends in with all of this, and you're thinking, gosh, I'm either like 1 minute I'm angry, and then all of a sudden I'm inspired, then I want more meaning in my life. So there is a lot being kind of brought into the light and shaken loose within you. So if you are feeling up and down, that is why. So give yourself a little bit of a break. And in our collective, we've been taught that if you're up and down, there's a name for it, and you better pop a pill because something's not right. However, in the transformation that we're in and these higher frequencies that we are acclimating to, that is all having to happen because all of those things are having to come to the surface for us to then balance out and calibrate to being a whole human being who is in aligned or integrated, is an integrated multidimensional being with your soul frequency integrating with your heart frequency, with your emotional frequency, which is then also integrated with your physical form. And that physical form is so dense, like a lot of this has to be cleared in order to integrate the whole human being, the whole human being, the whole multidimensional being of you. So that's why the ups and downs are so power packed. The other thing here, I just want to show you the magnetosphere. We've been looking at this quite a bit, and we've seen a lot of those red, denser energies. And look at this. I almost like sometimes when I look at it now and it's like this, I'm like, there's something up, there's something wrong. But we can see also on the Schumann, it's very calm. And right now in our magnetosphere, it's extremely calm. So we have we have a little bit of a break. We have a breathing space here. So take advantage of this. But now I want to get into the message because we do have some pretty big energies coming in the next few weeks, and I want to talk about that so that you actually are inspired to take a breather here and take a little bit of a rest while things are quiet in our atmosphere. Okay, so you can see we have a little bit of a break in those energies. We do have some additional solar winds that are going to be coming in later today from an equatorial hole in the sun. Again, not a coronal mass injection, not a solar flare at this point. So it's not going to be too intense. So while we have this breathing space, this is the time to take care of yourself, to really, of course we can say, take a bath and certainly drink lots of water. Be constantly drinking fresh, fresh filtered water, because that, as I keep saying, and I'm gonna keep saying it, but that not only anchors in these higher frequencies into your body, it also breathes life into, or gives life to your cells. They're doing, your body's doing so much work to acclimate to these higher frequencies, and it's also purging a lot. So we want to help it by allowing it to flush the body too. So drink lots and lots of water. Take care of yourself. Use essential oils to help balance out your emotions, because essential oils will do that. You can diffuse them, you can wear them. Drinks, give yourself soothing teas, Epsom salt baths. Take care of your physical and your emotional and mental body. And also be checking in with these soul frequencies. We're not taught, and we're not nurtured in our culture, in our collective, to understand how intuition and how our souls communicate. I was kind of like translate. Like, how do we translate? How each of us uniquely translates the messages from our soul into our meaning and into our understanding. So whether you journal, I journal all the time. Symbols are very big for me. So I know, like, when I'm seeing symbols out and about, I know when I'm meditating and I see symbols. Now I get visuals that are given to me. I get kind of clips of a scene or something that I understand how my soul frequency, my higher self, my intuition is communicating with me. If you are not comfortable with that, or you're just getting started with that, these are the times, these quiet times, to really start to tune into it. That means you got to put this down. That means you've got to turn off the TV and spend some quiet time alone and getting to understand these soul frequencies, because they're coming to the surface. Why I tell you that, or why I suggest that, is because these next 40 days until December 17th, so it's actually 39 days, we are going to have an intense time of energy. This is going to be a kind of a, what the idea that's given to me is like a fast forward. We can fast forward through a huge process, a huge part, a huge chunk of this transformational process, because we have the 11/11 portal that's coming up here next week. We also have a partial lunar eclipse on November 18th and 19th, as well as a solar eclipse on December 4th. So in these next 40 days, we have quite a lot of cosmic energies that are going to be shifting and affecting the energy of our planet, plus also the sun's activities, whatever that brings, that's going to be all in there as well. So we've had quite an intensive few weeks simply from the sun's energy and those galactic energies. Now, on top of that, we've got those three main cosmic events that are going to be happening as well. So this is for our benefit, and yet our free will is still going to be the thing that will affect how much of the benefits we get from these 40 days. So we know when energies are intense, it typically means we've got some work to do, because it's going to give us like a huge amount of energy to clear and purge, again, all of the densities. They're also going to be going down into those higher frequencies of us, into our fourth and fifth dimensional selves, into those emotional frequencies, and going to be poking at these life expanding emotions. You're going to start to, not that you're starting to, you're probably getting these emotions, like ideas or events that are starting to really start to motivate you into a higher expression of your life. You might be feeling more optimistic about something. At the same time, you might be still down here in fear and scarcity and anger about some of those lower densities that are still kind of in your body and in your energetic body. So again, that's where these emotions are coming up. So if you are avoiding this stuff, these next 40 days are going to be really intense, that you're not going to be able to avoid it. So what I wanted to give you some inspiration with is moving into the area of courage. When you go into, as you can see, all the way up to powerlessness, this is where when you feel powerless, you are still in those life constricting emotions, these lower densities, and these are the emotions that are really going to keep you stuck if you don't start processing them. If you are processing them in these next 40 days, you are going to have a perfect opportunity to really hash out a lot of that stuff if you have the courage to sit with them and to look at them and to deal with them and to take action on clearing whatever it is in your world that's causing these emotions. So if you are in overwhelm, what are the things that are causing overwhelm, and what do you start removing from your daily activities? What do you if you have a relationship that's causing you a lot of shame or grief or fear, or this is the time, these next 40 days, you're going to be supported by these energies to actually take care of them and put some boundaries up if need be. And why I want to break down courage for you is so that you can understand what that is when you find the courage to say, okay, finally, I'm going to do this. Because it's real easy to keep ignoring things because you can't find the courage to do it. You can always find an excuse. There's always a logical excuse to say, well, I'll do that tomorrow, or I can't get rid of that, that relationship because it benefits me this way. But if it's taking more energy than it's giving, it's not benefiting you. And having the courage to actually face it is what's going to change it and pull you into these life expanding emotions so that your life starts moving along. Free will is going to give you the benefits of this 40 days or not. So free will means these 40 days are going to be intense, and they're going to be electrically, magnetically charged for you to actually take huge steps in your life if you choose it, if you have the courage to do it. If you choose not to, and you just kind of ride the wave through the 40 days, on the other side of it, you haven't transformed, you haven't grown, and these energies are going to keep coming in. They're going to be here, they're here to stay, and you're going to have to face it eventually. So now is the time to find the courage and the willingness to move into the space of actually facing the things you need to face, actually dealing with the things you need to deal with, actually sitting in the grief and sitting in the whatever, and also really sitting in those things that inspire you as these soul frequencies start to bubble up and these new understandings and these new ideas come to you, and you say, I'm going to sit with that because that feels really good and I want to explore that more. These 40 days is when you sit in meditation or in a journaling session every single day and sit with all of this. How many masters have we heard in, from the Bible to books that we've read of people who have sat for 40 days and 40 nights in quiet hermit kind of space to really understand themselves, and they've emerged as a completely different people. These 40 days is an encouraging time to kind of hermit in, go inward, see what needs to be done. So let's take a look at courage and why it's so important and why you're so encouraged to sit with courage and face courage, and which will give you then the ability to face the things that might be a little bit fearful to face. So if we look at courage, the calibration is the frequency of the energy. So from now, a lot of these lower frequencies are in the ego mind. They're all things that are learned in our own life. So now we're moving into a linear mind, which is in the physical response. Where the courage kind of sits is, again, in this stomach and spleen area. This lower area is associated with your physical existence, your 3D existence. So courage is still operating in that 3D world, but it's in the higher frequencies of it where it's almost rising up into the heart space, into the 4D part of you. So it's really kind of the emotion that takes you, it's right on the cusp of moving you into that fourth dimensional piece of you, the fourth dimensional part of you. Let's go down. I want to go down here because there's different affirmations you can say, but what this looks like is the compromising emotion. The opposite expression of courage is that it's short-lived. So you can get courage to do something, to have a conversation, and then go back into fear. And then you can get the courage to do something, and what this does, courage is the stepping stone to get into willingness, to get into places where now you're starting to turn things, you're becoming optimistic, and then you continue to do the work, you continue to move forward in a progressive state to get to the opposite expression of whatever this density is that you're building courage up to purge. So although it's starting to get there, the linear mind is still in operation. That's still your mind. So your mind does have some good training to it. There are those things that it knows that is a positive thing, but you're still operating from your human mind, so to speak, when you are operating in courage. So it's real easy to drop back and forth with the ego, because the ego is wanting to keep you safe, and it knows it's mostly trained to take you down into these lower expressions. So remember, you're not quite in a higher expression of being in courage, but it gets you really close, a lot closer than staying in the fear, staying in the denial phase of, or ignoring something because you're too afraid to do something. The other thing I wanted to show you is the manifestation possibility is progressive. So what this means is The possibility of you manifesting into a higher expression of this part of your life you're progressively moving towards it, but you're probably moving towards it and going backwards and moving towards it and going back, like taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's that kind of, so you don't want to stay too long at courage, but if you have been living in these areas, you want to be here as much as you can, because once you are here and you see progress and you start to see that you're actually doing something different, and that you're actually taking care of things in your life, and that you're actually courageous enough to step forward and have these conversations, and then you start to get evidence that having conversations actually works and takes you 2 steps further. Now you start moving up to willingness, where you're willing to keep going, and you're willing to do the next thing, and then the next thing, and then you become optimistic because you start to get more and more evidence of this thing changing and transforming into the higher expression. And now you're getting into those higher frequencies of love and joy, and then you're in those life expansive emotions where the manifestation becomes inevitable. Once you are operating in these higher frequencies, everything that you want to change and everything you want to express in a higher frequency is definitely going to express itself, because that's how it's done. These are what's keeping you from actually living a transformational and opposite expression of anything that feels dense and feels painful at the moment. So sit with courage in these hours and this day that it's quiet and you don't have a lot of pressing pressure on you. Allow yourself to move into the intention, and what do you want to create? Where is there density in your life? How can you wormhole? I've talked about wormholing into the new intention and create a new vision for you to wrap your mind around, and start to reprogram your mind into what you want to create rather than what you want to ignore, and move yourself into courage so that you can start taking steps towards the evolution and the higher expression of this thing that you want to change. So breathe deeply today, sweet soul. This is a perfect time to do it. Take care of yourself. Journal out all of the gunk, and also journal out all of the higher expressions, and then give yourself one thing, just one thing that you can do to move forward in courage towards that higher expression. Once you do that, then give yourself one more thing, so you're consistently moving in that progressively higher and higher frequency of action. And then you get into inspired action, where you are just willing to do whatever it does, whatever you're given that fills your soul, and you move into higher and higher expressions of your life. That's what this is all about. Have a great day. Breathe these energies in, acclimate to them, drink lots of water, and I'll see you on the next Daily Tune-In. Mwah. Have a good one. Yoop. If today's Daily Tune-In brought you value and insight, please consider giving in return for that value by leaving a love offering. All donations go to keeping this platform operating and in service to humanity during these transformational times. To go even deeper into your soul frequency, please consider these offerings. For personal insights into your most pressing questions and concerns, get an energetic insight reading delivered directly to your inbox. To take a quantum leap in your transformation, book a personal session with Vedette. There are several options available based on how deeply you would like to go into your most desired soul-led life. To find more information and to book your sessions, please visit VedetteMayer.com.